Hello, my name is Mr. Karl. I'm the children's librarian at the Van Buren Library, and I'm very excited to read a story with you today. Now, March is Women's History Month, and for this special occasion, I picked a book about one of my personal heroes, the guitar player Elizabeth Cotten. Now, before we get into the story, I want you to hear a little bit of Elizabeth Cotten's guitar playing first, because I think it will really help us understand who she was a little bit better. And also, her guitar playing is absolutely incredible. So if you want to hear more of her music, you can just type in her name on YouTube, and there are tons of videos of her guitar playing that will come up. So I'm going to play for you just a snippet of her music before we get into the book. And this is her most famous song. It's called Freight Train. Okay, so let's get into the story right now and learn about how Elizabeth Cotten became such an incredible guitar player. This is called Libba, The Magnificent Musical Life of Elizabeth Cotten, and it's by Laura Veirs. Libba Cotten heard music everywhere. She heard it in the river when she brought in water for her mother. She heard it in the axe when she chopped wood for kindling. She heard it in the freight trains moving down the tracks near her home. She even heard it when she wasn't allowed to. When her brother Claude was at work, Libba snuck into his room and borrowed his guitar. Dang, she whispered. Claude was right-handed. Libba was not. So if you've never played guitar before, you might not know this, but your guitar can either be made for you. If you're left-handed, you'll have a different guitar than if you're right-handed. She turned the guitar upside down and played it backwards. It was kind of like brushing your teeth with your foot. Can you imagine if you had to brush your teeth with your foot every night? Or tying a shoe with one hand. Nobody else played that way, but it was the way that felt right to Libba. Like a train plays rhythms on the tracks, Libba made the notes go up and down. Like water bubbles in a brook, Libba sang a little song. Like a girl doing what she was born to do, Libba played the guitar upside down and backwards. So if you're playing a guitar upside down and backwards, it's probably going to be pretty difficult to learn. Much harder than if you're using a guitar that was built for yourself. One time she broke a string, another time she scratched the wood. Each time she put the guitar back. Dang, Claude, her brother said. She's done it again. But then Libba played him a song upside down and backwards. She played a funny way, but she sure was good. Soon Claude moved out to get a job. He took his guitar with him. But Libba never stopped in her tracks. She kept rolling. Now, what can a little girl like you do? I can sweep the floors, Libba said. I can pick the vegetables. I can set the table. So when Elizabeth Cotten was alive, it wasn't very common that women or girls would be guitar players. Playing the guitar was generally considered something that only men do. But this is really bad because it's very possible that we could have lost Elizabeth Cotten to history if she was never given another chance to play guitar. So Elizabeth Cotten earned 75 cents a month. Pretty soon, she had saved up $3.75, just enough for a Stella guitar. So back in her day, you could get a guitar for $3.75. They're a lot more expensive today. All day and night, she played that guitar. Long after everyone had gone to sleep, her mother would shout, "Babe, I gotta go to work in the morning. How about a lullaby?" So Libba put her mother to sleep, playing upside down and backwards. Libba played and played, and before you could say dang, She'd written her first song. She wasn't even 13 yet. And these are some of the lyrics to that song, and this became her most famous and well-played song. The lyrics go, freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know what route I've gone. But even trains get derailed. Time swept Libba up, and she stopped playing guitar. Now she was a tall and stately grandmother working in a department store. One day he found a little girl lost in the store. He returned the girl to her mother, Ruth Crawford Seeger, a composer in a famous musical family. So it seems like for many, many years, Elizabeth Cotten did not play guitar. We saw her playing as a little girl, but then because guitar playing was not expected of women, Elizabeth Cotten just worked, and she didn't really get to pursue when she was young a career in music. Ruth could tell that Libba was kind and gentle, and Libba felt the same way about Ruth. As the Seegers' new housekeeper, Libba moved like a galleon, taking care of the family. She made 8-inch chocolate cakes with 6 layers each. She loved the spirited children, but most of all, she loved how the home was filled with music. You could hear banjos in the bedrooms, pianos in the parlor, and bass drums in the basement. The children awoke in the morning to bluesmen and drifters sleeping by a smoldering fire. The musicians had funny names like Leadbelly, Woody Guthrie, and Muddy Waters. So these were some of the most famous guitarists of the time. And Leadbelly, Woody Guthrie, and Muddy Waters, they were all men. And there were not a lot of musical women in this world that they inhabited. As Libba worked, she listened. One day, the kids on the porch and the bluesmen in the living room and the drummers down below heard a sound. It was like 1,000 songbirds singing, or a gentle spring rain, or a train rambling down the tracks. It was Libba singing and picking the guitar like she'd never set it down. So let's hear a little more of her guitar playing and singing right now.
Freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know what route I'm gone.
So the kids listening to the music, they shouted, "Dang, she can play!" Soon the whole house was turned upside down and backwards. The children were clearing the dishes and washing up, and the bluesmen were singing Libba's songs. Ruth was playing along. Everybody wanted to hear Libba's music. And they all said, "Sing Freight Train again! We love that song so much!" The Seegers believed in Libba and helped spread the word about her music. But it was Libba's perseverance, her love of music, and her belief in herself that gave the world her voice. Libba played grand cathedrals in London and velvet theaters in Rome. Thousands of people sang along when she played Freight Train, and now millions of people know her music. Libba played grand cathedrals in London. Oh, I already read that. Libba turned her guitar upside down and backwards so she could play it in her own way. She turned the world of music upside down and backwards too. Libba Cotten never stopped in her tracks. She kept rolling and she kept singing, freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know what route I've gone." Okay, and that's the story of Elizabeth Cotten. Now, I think there's a couple really interesting things about her. One is that she did not become famous until much later in her life because of the color of her skin and the fact that she was a woman, he almost never got the ability to perform for large audiences. It's only very late in life that he was, quote unquote, discovered by the world of mainstream musicians. And now her influence, it goes very far and very deep. He was covered by famous musicians like Bob Dylan and the Grateful Dead. And also, the other fascinating thing about Elizabeth Cotten is he always played her guitar backwards her entire life, because that was how she learned to play as a kid. He was living in the Jim Crow South in North Carolina, and she never had the opportunity to have a guitar teacher tell her the quote unquote correct way to play. But because she was technically playing the guitar backwards, she developed a very unique style that no guitar teacher could have taught her. It was very much her own way of playing. So I want to thank you for joining me today. And if you're interested in hearing more music from Elizabeth Cotten, you can look her up on YouTube, Spotify, or any other platform. And I'll play a little bit more on our way out.
When I am dead and in my grave, no more good time, yeah, I pray. Place the stones at my head and feet, tell them all that I'm gone to sleep.